I'm Allison with the Mission 43 Education Pillar, and today I'm sitting down with subject matter experts to talk about teaching opportunities in Idaho and the education to get you there. This is the Mission 43 Education Discovery Series. Welcome back to the Mission 43 Education Discovery Series. Today I'm sitting down with Keith Donahue. He's the Director of School Strategy and Operations for Bluum. Keith, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Good. Well, I'm hoping you can give us a little bit of an overview of what Bluum, B-L-U-U-M, is.
Yep, sure. So Bluum, we are a statewide, Idaho-focused K-12 group that we support the growth and success and launching of innovative schools across Idaho, whether they're charter, traditional district, private. If someone's good people have a good idea and there's a way we can help them do it, we're fortunate to be able to do that.
And so you cover kind of the gamut of schools that are available here in Idaho. Do you mind giving us a brief overview of options for becoming an educator here, whether that's private, public, and what that might look like?
Yep, sure. So it is kind of different depending on which type of school you get into. So for private school, the state really doesn't dictate the requirements of what it takes to be a teacher there. That's decided by the private entity that is the private school. And then you have, traditional districts. There's a traditional certification route that a traditional teacher would follow. There also are some alternative paths available to enter a traditional district school. And then charter schools, which is mostly what we work with. They are also part of the public school system. They're public charter schools. They're designed to deliver something the traditional public system isn't delivering, to be a little more innovative and offer something specific. And there's actually a new law that passed last year that creates even more flexibility for becoming a charter teacher. We have our own new certification process that's really school-driven and unique to each school.
So do you have an example of how that might work if, I think we might speak to mostly people that might not have a degree in specific education, but could bring something to the table. What does that look like for them coming into a charter school and wanting to teach, English or math or something without a degree directly there?
Yeah. So the new law just passed last year, became effective in July, and part of it is that each school that's going to participate has to create written board-approved procedures for that new alternatively certified teacher getting a mentor as well as professional development, when they start, which is great for the teacher too. So the requirements for that is 18, criminal background check, bachelor degree of any kind.
Okay.
There's a little more flexibility if you're going to do career tech ed.
Okay.
There are some specific requirements for that you don't have to have a full bachelor's degree. They're pretty technical, so I would say if someone's going that route, talk to the school or they're welcome to reach out to Bluum. And then if the school decides they're going to move forward with you, you'll get paired with a mentor, and there's certain requirements to get professional development to help you become an excellent educator. Primarily, initially, it'll probably focus on classroom management. You may already be an expert in the area you're going to teach from your life experiences, so they'll focus on teaching you that teaching side of things. Okay. So 18, background check, a degree, or different if you're career tech ed, you'll get a mentor and you'll get some professional development and you'll be on your way.
What are some examples of career tech ed? I know that's very experience, life-based.
So
what would someone do for that?
So that's typically more, it'll start in middle and go through high school, and that's, someone's been an engineer, or someone's had a specific role in the military. They have that whole skill set that they could pass on to kids. Those positions are really in demand, and it used to be in the more traditional realm, those folks wouldn't often have the technical requirements of a teacher certification, but everybody sees the values of those people being in front of kids and sharing everything they've learned over 25 years. So that would be it. If you've got a specific technical skill, there's a number of schools and high schools in particular, that's their focus. They do career tech ed.
So
and you could say, go ahead.
A welder teaching welding.
Exactly. You want a welder, someone who's had the experience and is now ready to do, enter the school world and educate. So there's a lot of flexibility there. That's probably where the most flexibility is, and there's a lot of need there for those people.
And what would someone do if they are interested in teaching in charter and that's the route that they wanted to take, the charter certification route?
So I think there I would probably, you could watch job postings and, look at the different schools, figure out one you think interests you and matches yourself and the grades you might want to teach, the type of curriculum. Again, each charter is going to have sort of a different focus, and you can learn those just by looking at their website. And then you can watch the positions they have available, reach out to the leadership there, start talking to them about, are you doing the alternative certification? What's that look like? I'm interested, here's who I am. If you have just general questions, you're always welcome to reach out to us at Bluum, and we'll sort of walk you through all of it. It's all new. So again, it just passed in July. It just became law about 2 months ago. So all the schools, and we're working with them on this, are developing their programs. But there's, I think the first session we did on it, we had at least 20 different school leaders learning together with us and saying we're excited to launch this. So I'd reach out to the schools, reach out to us, look at the websites, find the school that makes sense for you based on your skill set, and people will be interested.
And I know for our members that are watching this, you'd probably be really interested in how many charter schools are here, how many public schools are here. So we'll do a really good write-up in the content below and link to some charter schools. And you sent me an incredible resource that talks about school choice. But can you explain to me, someone that doesn't really know much about that, what does school choice in Idaho mean?
Yeah, sure. So I think I'll just say my family is a great example. I have one student who's at school across the street at a charter school, Sage International. I have another that finished at Boise High. The idea is not all kids learn the same way. Choice is good, options are good. Even within a family, not all kids learn the same way and want to be at the same school. My family is an example. So, we're fortunate. We've in good traditional public system. The school in your neighborhood might be the perfect fit for you. If not, there's choice. Private school could be a choice, or again, the idea of a charter is it's a public school. Parents can look at it. If it looks like a good fit for their family, you apply to the lottery to enroll. Anyone can apply all through a lottery. There's no competitive selection process. And then if you're offered a spot and that makes sense for you, you can attend that school. So it's to acknowledge the fact that kids are successful in different ways. Kids need different paths, and it creates those choices for families. So you could have the charter my son goes to is a very high intense academic international baccalaureate. You also have charter schools that serve all alternative students and do only career tech. You have classical academies, you have STEM-focused schools, so you have elementary schools, high schools, K-12 schools. So it's to acknowledge that, kids and families need choices in education.
I mean, I think it's pretty incredible what Idaho is doing to step up and provide those options for our children that, obviously education is very important. And it's really neat to know that as an educator, someone that wants to go into teaching has these options for different schools. But I don't really want to skirt around the issue of the fact that we're facing a pretty unprecedented teacher shortage, and not only nationwide, but specifically here in Idaho. Is there anything that you could say to address that and maybe speak to schools that could be feeling it worse than others, and how someone might be able to step in and become a teacher?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you're absolutely right. It's difficult, and the goal of these schools isn't to just fill every seat; it's to fill every employee seat with a really great person who's going to be great for kids, yes. Right? So that's the goal. And so just getting every position filled is a challenge for larger districts and schools in particular, and I would say rural in general. When you're in a highly populated area, you have a bit more of a pool to choose from. But our rural schools could really use help in finding just really great people to have in front of kids. And then, much like I described our school choice landscape being great for families and kids, I think it's the same for teachers or prospective teachers or just people out there. They can look and get a feel for the different schools and what's out there where they live and say, this feels like the right place for me. This is where I'm going to go try to work, because they really are very different. And I would advise someone who's thinking about this, just like I do families and kids, just go walk through the school, be on the campus, talk to people, and you'll figure out if it's the right place for you, because they're all very different. But I would say rural really needs help. And then everyone's always looking for great, passionate people that care about kids.
Yeah. What is, if you could, off the top of your head, tell us what's the greatest need right now that we have?
Like a specific teaching area?
Yes.
That's a good question. I think that career tech is really important.
Career tech, okay.
Yeah, that career tech ed, it's real challenging because there's a mismatch between the traditional path to becoming a teacher and and having this knowledge and skill set and life experiences of a welder, of an engineer, of of a woodworker, whatever that is. And so if you can get someone who's done those things and has that real experience, and then typically you teach a teacher to teach, and then they have to figure it's almost backwards. They have all this experience, and you give them that professional development and mentoring I talked about on the teaching classroom management side. It's fascinating when you go to a school and watch that happening, how the kids gravitate towards those people, and how the teacher just loves it. Yeah. So that career tech ed is a good one. If you've got a real specific skill, through your military experience or past experience, and you can bring that to the school, it's very helpful.
Well, we're hoping that we can get out to our members that are military members, transitioning out, veterans, military spouses that might be interested in your traditional teaching or that career tech teaching. Mm-hmm. If there is one nugget of advice, of course you've given many so far, but if there's one nugget of advice that you could tell someone that is transitioning out of the military or military spouse looking into becoming an educator, what would that be?
I think it really would just be do that little bit of research to figure out what might be the right school. What pulls you when you look? Do you find a school and then just start talking to them and reaching out, because everybody's going to be very receptive and help you along the way and be grateful for it. So it's really just finding that spot and communicating, and I'd be surprised if you got anything other than open arms.
Well, Keith, thank you so much for being here again. This is really incredible to learn from someone that knows everything about all the schools here in Idaho. We'll gladly put out some very good resources, especially the ones that you've shared. And I just hope that we're able to create some awesome educators in the school system.
Great, excellent. Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you.